Merci, Monsieur le Président and honorable members. C'est un grand honneur de me présenter devant cette commission. Tout d'abord, permettez-moi de vous remercier pour votre leadership sur le pacte vert. Grâce à votre travail, l'Europe avance de manière très concrète vers sa transition verte. Si vous m'accordez votre confiance, je veux poursuivre cet héritage. Je veux apporter de la continuité. Je veux saisir toutes les occasions d'augmenter notre ambition et je tendrai la main à tous et toutes. Nous devons travailler ensemble, étroitement, pour la réussite de cette transition. Depuis mon enfance, mes parents et mes grands-parents m'ont fait comprendre l'immense importance de notre coopération européenne. Elle nous a apporté de la solidarité, de la paix, de la sécurité, de la prospérité. Moi, je suis un enfant de l'Europe. Et n'importe où en Europe, je me sens chez moi. J'ai eu le privilège de vivre en Italie, en France et en Allemagne, et de travailler partout sur notre continent. J'ai beaucoup d'admiration pour notre Union, pour ses libertés, ses valeurs, sa culture, ce patrimoine et notre solidarité. Et si je suis confirmé, je défendrai les intérêts de tous les citoyens européens, sans réserve et en toute indépendance. In recent years, we faced many challenges: financial crises, the pandemic, and Russia's horrible war against Ukraine. And as Minister, I worked closely with colleagues all over Europe on the Capital Markets Union, on shore, and weapons for Ukraine. And I've always tried to bring the national and the European interest together. And yet, I do want to acknowledge that precisely this did not always go well. At the start of the pandemic, I showed insufficient regard for the difficulties faced by some member states. And I would like you to know that I feel that I should have done that differently. Now again, on climate change, it is time to show solidarity in the EU, across the world, and with future generations. Climate change is a massive challenge, and their future depends on our decisions. Honourable members, as Commissioner, I will be driven by facts, by numbers, by science, and I will be convinced by evidence. But I will also be adamant in giving a voice to the next generation. Like for many of you, this is not an abstract reality for me. At least once a week, my children ask me about two things: the war in Ukraine and climate change. And whether these kids are sitting at my kitchen table, at yours, or frankly speaking, anywhere else in the world, they deserve a future. Honourable members, as Commissioner, I would aim for continuity, for ambition and for outreach. And this Parliament has been pivotal in setting our continent firmly on track towards climate neutrality in 2050. The EU climate law and Fit for 55 simply know no parallel. And with the European Green Deal, President von der Leyen and former Executive Vice President Timmermans laid the foundations for Europe's green transformation. And I want to assure you that continuity is in place on the entire Green Deal. In my own portfolio, I aim to swiftly conclude all pending negotiations. But I will not be a caretaker. It simply wouldn't do justice to the scale, to the magnitude of our challenge. And frankly speaking, it is also not in my nature. We're running a marathon here, not a sprint. Through the climate portfolio, I want to prepare the foundations of a Green Deal 2.0 on climate, on biodiversity, circularity and pollution, and help increase ambitions across the board. And to build this path and to profit from it, Europe needs ambition and predictability. Esteemed members, in the first quarter of next year, we will present our communication on the 2040 target. And the Scientific Advisory Board has already published compelling evidence with recommendations on technological feasibility, on removals, on environmental risk limits, international cooperation and fairness. The board advises a minimum target of 90% net reductions of greenhouse gas emissions. And naturally, we will do a thorough impact assessment and analyze different scenarios, reduction pathways, costs and benefits. And I cannot preempt this work nor the final college decision. But I can offer you my clear commitment. I will act in line with the board's advice. I will use all instruments available to aim to enable the EU to reach the minimum recommended target of 90% net reductions. And I will work to bring our industry along with instruments like the Innovation Fund to spur innovation and using CBAM to help create a truly global level playing field. Honourable members, climate change is truly a global crisis. We cannot master this alone. At COP28, discussions will center on ambition and finance. And of course, both are closely linked. The more money we can muster, the more ambition we can elicit. And with Fit for 55, Europe leads the world in ambition and implementation. And by providing the largest share of climate finance, we lead the world in solidarity. But the harsh reality is that the Paris goals are far from fulfilled. And to unlock more mitigation ambition, notably from major emitters, we need progress on adaptation and finance, of course, including loss and damage. This is, in the end, not only about money, but about restoring trust. And the EU has created a breakthrough last year. We can do this again if we look at unorthodox solutions and dare to flip the script. COP28 should be about to operationalize the loss and damage fund and funding arrangements, especially for the most vulnerable. It is doable if we find agreement on the governance and the operating rules. And if this is the case, first pledges will become possible, and I will prepare the ground accordingly. But for structural funding, we need systematic revenue. Ideas from the summit of the new Global Financing Pact last June simply must become a reality. And I will talk to all partners to build a global loss and damage coalition. I want to explore an international kerosene tax, a maritime levy, a fossil fuels tax, and even a share of ETS proceeds. No stone should be left unturned. And still, we cannot leave Dubai without more mitigation ambition, if only because no amount of money can actually pay if the damage will be there and if we overshoot Paris. On ambition, the EU should simply lead by example. And with Fit for 55, we're set to reduce 57% of emissions by 2030. And we must spur additional ambition abroad. I will champion the EU's push to triple global renewable energy capacity, double energy efficiency, and phase out unabated fossil fuels. Fossil fuels must become history. The sooner, the better. And the fact that certain oil majors have long known of their role in climate change and sought to ignore the evidence, I find it truly unethical. And if anything, it increases, in my view, their responsibility to contribute to solving climate change. And we should engage with them exactly along these lines. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to be honest. The geopolitical situation we're facing is grim. It will not improve soon, and it weighs on our climate diplomacy and the effectiveness of our climate ambition. But public expectations for COP28 are high, and rightly so. And time is running out. We must get the world on track for 1.5 degrees. I still see avenues to success in Dubai, and I will work non-stop. I will work non-stop to make it happen. Sehr geehrte Damen und Herren Abgeordnete, in 2 Bereichen benötigen wir weitere Maßnahmen. Im Luftverkehr und bei den Subventionen für fossile Brennstoffe. Und ich bin mir bewusst, dass die Verhandlungen über das Emissionshandelssystem für die Luftfahrt um CORSIA und um nachhaltige Kraftstoffe gerade erst abgeschlossen worden sind. Und doch sind größere Anstrengungen notwendig, um die Umweltverschmutzung und die Emissionen durch den Luftverkehr aufzuhalten. Und beginnen wir mit der aus meiner Sicht größten Absurdität, der fehlenden Besteuerung von Flugbenzin. Wenn ich ein Auto an die Tankstelle fahre, dann sind 50 bis 60% von dem, was ich an der Kasse bezahle, Steuern. Aber wird ein Jet aufgetankt, fallen überhaupt keine Steuern an. 0. Welcher Europäer hält das für sinnvoll, dass wir ausgerechnet beim Kerosin nicht nach dem Verursacherprinzip handeln? Schon während meiner Zeit als Finanzminister drängten die Niederlande auf die Flugsteuer in Europa. Heute möchte ich mit aller Kraft in Europa und auf der ganzen Welt um Unterstützung für eine globale Luftverkehrsabgabe werben. Und wir müssen darüber hinaus endlich die Subventionen für fossile Brennstoffe beenden. Sie sind aus meiner Sicht anachronistisch und kontraproduktiv für unsere Energiewende. Und ich möchte eng mit Kommissar Gentiloni zusammenarbeiten, um die Energiebesteuerungsrichtlinie im Rat voranzubringen. Und natürlich, ich weiß sehr gut, nur sehr gut, zu gut, wie schwierig es sein kann, Steuerpolitik zu verändern. Aber hat Italien mit der globalen Mindeststeuer nicht schon in seiner G20-Präsidentschaft bewiesen, dass es zu schaffen ist? Meine Damen und Herren Abgeordnete, die Klimapolitik ist eng mit den anderen Säulen der Green Deal verbunden. Und dies gilt für die Artenvielfalt, der Naturwiederherstellungsgesetz, das Bodengesetz und das kommende Waldmonitoringsgesetz. Um unsere Klimaziele zu erreichen, müssen wir den Green Deal vollenden. Unsere Böden, Ozeane und Wälder sind die größten Kohlenstoffsenken. Und eine gesunde Natur wird uns auf unserem Planeten, der immer wärmer wird, einfach kühl halten. Und ich unterstütze Kommissar Sinkevičius voll dabei, unsere ambitionierten Umweltgesetze über die Ziellinie zu bringen. Und ich verspreche, im Klimaresort meinen Teil dazu beizutragen. Vor allem müssen wir eng mit unseren Landwirten zusammenarbeiten. Sie sollten unterstützt werden, nachhaltig zu produzieren, und sie haben einen Anspruch auf ein angemessenes Auskommen. Darum müssen wir unseren Landwirten ein überarbeitetes Geschäftsmodell anbieten. Und dazu werde ich ganz bewusst den Dialog mit der Lebensmittelindustrie und mit den Banken suchen. Honourable members, Europe's green transition is a massive task. It needs the broadest possible support to maintain ambition and to take everyone along. And I will set my own bar high for reaching out, for building coalitions, and for working together. I will work with you, with my colleagues in the Commission, with the Council, with European citizens, civil society and business, and with our partners across the globe. Honourable members, Monsieur le Président, I hope that I've shown you that as a Commissioner my focus would be on continuity, on ambition and on outreach. that will be guided by science and always be the voice of the next generation. Reaching climate neutrality in Europe by 2050 will be a steep climb. And convincing our partners across the world to keep pace with us will, frankly speaking, be even harder. But there's no alternative. And we can get it done together. Thank you.
Thank you,